This is the Canon M100 and 22mm f2 lens, a killer combo for all kinds of photography. But its simple design means it's often dismissed as not being a serious camera, but it's actually a powerful tool with a 24 megapixel sensor that has great image quality, dual pixel autofocus, those wonderful Canon colours, and a lens that's tack sharp. Its simplicity is actually its biggest strength. Quick disclaimer, most of the photos you're going to see in this video do involve my children, as life has become very domesticated lately. But kids are, after all, a very demanding subject to photograph, so I can vouch that this camera is more than capable of being up to the job. Not really a lot to say about the physical design. Things are really dominated by this touchscreen on the back. Now, there is no viewfinder, which a lot of people will say, oh, that's no good. But for this type of camera, I actually prefer just using the flippy touchscreen anyway. You can get all kinds of interesting angles and just shoot from the hip in a sort of casual manner. So something I do like about this camera is that the SD card slot is on the side here, which is quite rare for a small camera like this. That's convenient because if you've got the camera on a tripod, it means that you don't have to take it off to change out the memory card, which is really nice. Get to the battery at the bottom there. Battery life is actually pretty decent for photos. This lens is the EFM 22mm, which is equivalent to a 35mm focal length in full frame terms. So it's a sort of standard focal length, if you will. It's good for street photography, candid shots, reportage, documentary. You can shoot landscapes with this lens. You can even shoot portraits if you want. It's perfect for showing people in their environment, which is my favourite kind of photography. And being a prime lens, it's just limited to that single focal length, so that actually forces you to be more creative. It's an advantage, not a disadvantage in my mind. You get challenged because you have to think more about your composition and you're not just being lazy and using a zoom all the time. Its maximum aperture is f2, so it is really quite fast, which makes it good for low light. You can get a nice depth of field with this lens as well. It's not a bokeh monster. It's sharpest at f4 to f5.6, and that's how I typically shoot with this. I leave it there and I set the shutter speed to 1/250th of a second, or maybe 1/500th of a second. Auto ISO. Set, forget, and just have fun. Now you might say, I've already got a good smartphone that takes nice photos. What do I need with a point and shoot camera like this? Well, this has got way better image quality than any smartphone that's on the market at the moment. And I can't see smartphones catching up for a long time yet. And it's also way more ergonomic than using a phone. Is it perfect? No, of course it isn't. You've probably noticed that I haven't spoken about video yet, and that's because this is not really a great video camera. It tops out at full HD at 60 frames a second. It looks a little bit soft. There's no mic input, there's no headphone jack. Look, overall, it's okay. I've used it, it's got the job done, but I don't use this as a video camera. This is for stills. Its simplicity is occasionally a source of frustration. There are certain things that you have to change in the menus, like going between auto and manual focus, which is a bit annoying. It doesn't have some of the latest and greatest features like the Sony IAF, or it hasn't got that cool factor of some of the Fuji cameras. But when you consider the price, now I paid 600 Australian dollars. That's about 400 US dollars or 300 British pounds. That was a year ago with the 15 to 45mm kit lens. So I think at that kind of value, we can forgive most of its flaws. So wrapping up, this is a small and light and affordable camera that you can take pretty much everywhere. And that's what I do. I mean, it's quite battered, as you can see. That's how much I've used it. And it is just fun to use, which is what photography is supposed to be about, right? And I know that when I want to capture a magical moment, this is the killer combo which I reach for. It gets the job done, and it's never let me down. And without it, I know that for sure I would have missed many of the most meaningful images that I've ever taken. So do not overlook this killer combo. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you got a better alternative? I'd love to hear about it. Subscribe for more videos if you like, and I will see you in the next one.